Jay here, Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're in the studio. We are live, so get involved in the chat and the comments, talking about all things Manchester United. And obviously, it's a bit more of a positive morning this morning, isn't it? Because United are through in the Europa League. We won away. We've been unbeaten in Europe. Look, I'm not going to pretend that this is the most amazing European campaign ever. This isn't 99, but it is a good one. We have won enough games to go through. We haven't been beaten. Let's just take the positives where we find them. So, yeah, I'm feeling quite good this morning. Get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know what you think about the European campaign so far. Looking in the chat and the comments already, loads of people here. Morning, Jay, says Ross Wheeler. Morning, Jay, says Koya Trot, Mick Hollahan, Danny Jackson, Akash K. Right. Let's talk about one of my favourite topics. Kobbie Mainoo in the 10. Kobbie Mainoo played well last night, bit further up the pitch. This has been a little bit of a debate going on for some time now. Where is Kobbie Mainoo's best position? Is it as an 8? Is it even as a 6? Or is it as a 10? I think Ronaldo Brown on the channel has mentioned it a few times. He'd like to see him further up the pitch. And I get where he's coming from. I kind of agree with it. You saw last season when he burst onto the scene. Isn't it amazing that Kobbie Mainoo made his debut in November 2023? It feels like he's been in the team for about 5 years. It does feel sort of insane that he's still relatively new. He was obviously, when he made his debut, he played a lot deeper. But when he pushed further forward, if you think of the Wolves game, if you think of the Liverpool game, the goal he scored against Liverpool, you think of the Manchester derby in the FA Cup final, he's very effective in that area. He does get you goals. He does create things. Obviously, his ball control is sublime and he can pick out a pass and he can finish. So it'd be good to see Kobbie Mainoo in this role a bit more often. And you can see that we've got a quote here from the man himself. He says, I'm happy to be on the pitch for Manchester United wherever the manager needs me to play. And the manager's spoken about the best roles as well for Kobbie Mainoo and said, you know, he's not sort of closed the door on him playing further up the pitch. You see, we've got another article here. I think this is from Peter Hall in is it The Independent, that one? Yeah, we've had Peter on the channel. So it says here, Manchester United rediscover the real Kobbie Mainoo after Ruben Amorim's clever change. So a lot of people, a lot of pundits, fans, ex-players, whoever, looking at this and going, journalists looking at it and going, you know, this could be a role for Kobbie Mainoo. This does seem to suit his skill set. Can he be the 10 that Manchester United are looking for? Now, you look at the system that Ruben Amorim plays where you've got those two 10s. So it's not out-and-out wingers, is it? And it's not sort of a striker. It's more like you've got the number 9 and you've got these two 10s behind him. Now, Amad Diallo is someone who's done quite well in that role. Other players haven't. Bruno at times has looked quite comfortable there, but then we've seen other players tried there with mixed results, to be honest with you. Alejandro Garnacho at times looks like he's struggled a little bit. Some people are suggesting maybe Joshua Zirkzee could find a role there because it doesn't feel like he's a 9. I think he calls himself a 9.5. But you look at someone like Kobbie Mainoo and you think, okay, maybe you've had a situation where you had Manuel Ugarte and Bruno Fernandes in that midfield too, and then as your two 10s, one of them was, say, Amad, and the other one was Kobbie Mainoo with Rasmus Højlund or whoever up top. Would that work? And I think it could. I think this is a role that could suit Kobbie Mainoo, and I wouldn't mind seeing him being given a run in the team in that role. Now, look, I've been advocating for Kobbie Mainoo to start games. I think even in the 8 or whatever alongside Manuel Ugarte, I quite like that partnership. But I'm just looking at it and you think one of the criticisms some people have of Kobbie Mainoo is defensively, is he quite where he needs to be? Has he got the legs to get up and down the pitch? Has he got the pace to cover the amount of ground that you need to cover? I think the jury's still out on certain aspects of that, and let's not forget, he's still young. He will get better. He will improve, and there's every chance he can grow into that role. But I think right now, putting him in that 10, giving him an opportunity there, maybe moving Bruno back, letting him dictate the game from a little bit further deeper, and also he can cover every blade of grass anyways, Bruno Fernandes. Having Manuel Ugarte there next to Bruno, I think this could work. I'd be very excited to see Amad and Kobbie Mainoo in those two 10 roles with a striker in front of them. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Let us know what you think. And listen, I'm not just getting carried away by a goal against FCSB and a very good performance, I hasten to add, against FCSB. We've seen him further up the pitch in the games I mentioned, the Wolves game, the City game, the Liverpool game. He's done it before, so this isn't just a one-off. Let me know what you think, because I think this could be a real opportunity now to maybe try Kobbie Mainoo in that role, give him a bit of a run in the side. I'd like to see him still rotated. I think it's important that we manage him in the right way. We've done that too often with young players where we throw them in, they do really well, and we just keep playing them and playing them and playing them and playing them until they either lose a bit of form or they get knackered or both. We've seen it with players at Manchester United time and time again. Adnan Januzaj came into the side and he was like the saviour, wasn't he? Remember those 2 goals at the Stadium of Light against Sunderland? Then when his form disappears, his form deserts him, he still gets picked and he becomes a shadow of the player he was. I'm not saying Kobbie Mainoo is the same level as Adnan Januzaj. I think he's a little bit better, but you get my point. We've seen it with Garnacho. His form fell off a bit, didn't it? And he was getting stick and he didn't seem happy. We've seen it with other players as well. Anthony Elanga, prime example, like played week in, week out under Ralph Rangnick, even when he was struggling a little bit, and then he goes to Nottingham Forest and you can see the difference. So I think we need to be careful how we handle Kobbie Mainoo in terms of minutes, and just making sure we remember he is still relatively new to the Manchester United side and he is still a 19-year-old, even though he is an amazingly talented one. But in terms of his position on the pitch, I think the number 10 could be a role for him. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Dribbly Wildman, love you, Jay. Thank you. John O'Connell says, Bruno can pivot with Mainoo. Good shout. Andrew Everton says, put Ahmad as your right wing back with Kobbie in the 10. That's another option you've got. Ahmad can play as a right wing back. A lot of people, myself included, do you think you lose a little bit and it'd be nicer to see him further up the pitch? But I understand the fact that he has done very well at right wing back. Let's not forget, you remember that was at the Everton game where he basically picked the pocket of the Everton defenders and helped set up 2 goals. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Ahmad at right wing back, but I prefer to see him in the 10. Hit that like button as well, please, people. And don't forget, if you've not done so already, subscribe to the channel. Let's talk about Alejandro Garnacho then, the guy on the thumbnail there. You can see Alejandro Garnacho, Man United transfer, exit claim as 50 million deal moves closer. Latest Manchester United transfer news and gossip with updates on Bayern Munich striker Mathys Tel and the future of United forward Alejandro Garnacho. So this is in the evening news here. The story sort of covering all sorts, and it says that we could be set for a busy end to the January transfer window based on some of the latest reports. Obviously, we've got to 11 o'clock on Monday. We're going to be live on Monday. Leading up to that, we'll probably be live from about 9 o'clock onwards. Last couple of hours, we'll do a live, so we'll keep you updated, not just with the Manchester United news as well, but what is happening in the transfer window with other clubs as well, because it's always interesting to see what some of our rivals are doing. But this is basically saying that Spurs are looking to move for Tel. He's been linked with United. And in terms of Alejandro Garnacho, if we keep going, I think there's a bit more on Garnacho. It says here, continues being linked with a move away from United. Napoli expressed an interest in signing the Argentinian international earlier this month, and speculation continues to swirl around his future. And here you can see it says here, according to L'Equipe, Chelsea are getting ready to step up their interest in signing Garnacho before the window closes. The report claims that United are demanding an 80 million fee for Garnacho, which the London club could be prepared to pay, but on one condition. It's been reported that Chelsea will only have the funds to sign Garnacho if they complete the permanent exit of Christopher Nkunku. Now, United were are being linked still, I think, with Christopher Nkunku. I don't see that being a permanent move if we went for him. I don't even think we will, to be honest with you. I think we were maybe looking at it as a loan because we need an extra striker in there. We are struggling for goals and we're struggling for options up front. I don't think there's any chance whatsoever that Manchester United sign Christopher Nkunku on a permanent deal, and nor should we. Look, he's a decent player. I don't think he's a long-term option for Manchester United. Maybe short-term, you bring him in just, to the end of the season. That kind of makes sense, but definitely not on a permanent move. However, someone else could. Someone else could come in for Christopher Nkunku and buy him on a permanent deal. That might give Chelsea the funds they need for Alejandro Garnacho. 80 million quid. I think I sat here a few weeks ago and said it'd have to take a lot of money for me to be convinced that it was worth Alejandro Garnacho. 80 million quid is a lot of money. That would enable you to do something decent, hopefully, in the transfer window. In an ideal world, though, Alejandro Garnacho stays at Manchester United, in my opinion. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat and the comments. I know it's PSR and it's all that jazz and he's an academy player and it's pure profit, so it has moved the goalpost somewhat. And 80 million quid, that feels like an offer you couldn't refuse to go all Don Corleone on you. Let me know what you think. Tyson Barnett says, as bad as we are, selling Garnacho for short-term profit will lead to us spending long-term regret. Terrible idea to sell one of the best young players in the world. Do says it's BS. He says Garnacho ain't going anywhere. Well, there's a lot of stories and reports that he is, so I wouldn't just dismiss it straight away. I think there's something in it that he could be going somewhere, and I think that if Manchester United do want to go big in the summer, we're going to have to generate income from somewhere. I think we need to sell somebody. Look, the market for Marcus Rashford has diminished. I think even if you were to sell Marcus Rashford, you're probably looking closer to 30 or 40 million than you are anywhere near 70 or 80, which is what was being touted a couple of seasons ago, because his stars dimmed massively. He's not getting in the squad. There's questions about his mindset. He's not had a very good season, even leading up to the point where he was dropped from the squad. Last season was a disappointing one. So how much is Marcus Rashford going to fetch? I'm not so sure. I don't think it's going to be a huge amount of money in relative terms. I think it's going to be, like I said, closer to 40 million. Alejandro Garnacho, you could probably get an extra 25, 30 million on top of that. So that seems like a deal that would enable you to bring in more players. I'm thinking it's something like if you've got 80 million in sales or profit, that enables you to spend like 3 times that or whatever it is in the whole world of PSI. It's all very confusing. But is it worth doing? Is that a deal worth doing for Manchester United? If that enables you to, I don't know, go out and get another striker, maybe you go out and you get Victor Gyökeres, maybe you go out and you get another wing back. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I wouldn't sell him personally, but I understand the feeling that something like that, an £80 million bid, could make it worth it. Y Priest says, would love Garner to come out and say he isn't moving anywhere, regardless of the club's position. That'd be, if he did that ends the conversation. You can't force a player to move. I mean, you can sell him, you want to sell him, and you don't really want him anymore, and that kind of pushes him out the door, but it doesn't force him completely, because he can say, well, I'm not going. We've seen it before. I remember, I'm going back a long time. In 99, we were going to sell Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to Spurs. Fergie had agreed the deal, it was done, and Ole said no. He said, I'm going to stay at Manchester United and fight for my place. And I might be right in thinking he kind of did okay as well, especially that season. So, listen, you don't have to move. And if Alejandro Garnacho doesn't want to move, then he can stay. I just wonder how happy he is at Manchester United. I feel like he's not quite enjoying it the way he was a couple of seasons ago or 18 months ago. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Sam Carter says, all happening too late as usual. Yeah, it is another sort of late frenzy. Manchester United love late frenzies, don't we? We always seem to leave ourselves a little bit of a, not enough time to do anything, don't we? We've all been scrambling around. Do you remember the Odion Ighalo transfer where basically he was knocking on the door of the director saying, let me go? That all felt a bit sort of last minute, didn't it? And the morning of that deal, we were in for Josh King, and then all of a sudden it became Odion Ighalo. It just felt a bit bizarre that day. There was the other transfer window where I think it was last minute moves for Facundo Palestre and Ahmad, and I think Alex Telles as well might have been a 11th hour move. Then there was one for Edinson Cavani where we signed him that late. He couldn't even play in the first few games. Do you remember? He didn't make his debut till a few games later because we left it that late. It was all a bit weird, wasn't it? Get involved in the chat and the comments. Let us know what you think. Is there a preference who you'd like to see coming in? Who would you like to see going out? Do you think we should keep Garnacho or do you think we should sell him? Let me know what you think, and make sure you're hitting that like button. Come on, people, let's get to 200 likes. We haven't got to 100 likes yet, and there's almost 1,000 people watching. Come on, that's not good enough. Hit that like button. Let's have a good start to this Friday morning with a load of likes. YouTube says, if we sell him, we'd just be doing what crap clubs do like Everton and Southampton. It's changed, hasn't it? The landscape has changed. There was a time, a few years ago, not even that long ago, post for Alex Ferguson, when Manchester United didn't sell anyone we didn't really want to. Very rare for Manchester United to sell a player that we wanted to keep hold of. But I think the PSR thing has just changed everything. It has, and Manchester United don't have loads of money that is available to spend. And also, we have to balance the books with this PSR thing. So it's made everything a little bit different. And I just wonder whether that's going to come into play for Alejandro Garnacho because he is a saleable asset. Let's talk about Joel Glazer, one of my least favourite people on the planet. It says here, this is Sam Luckhurst in Manchester Evening News. Joel Glazer still involved in Manchester United transfer decision. That's great news, isn't it? He's bringing his wide, varied footballing expertise to Manchester United when it comes to transfers. Nothing fills my heart like learning that Joel Glazer is still involved in decisions at this football club. It says here, Joel Glazer is still actively involved in Manchester United transfer plans. Why? Sources have confirmed that Glazer retains the right to sign off and veto deals, even though Sir Jim Ratcliffe assumed control of the club's operations with his 27.7 minority stake last season. I think that's increased now, and it's to about 30%. Glazer is still the United co-chairman along with his brother Avram and has been described as more hands-on during the club's negotiations in the winter transfer window. A United source said Glazer has always been involved and that nothing has changed. More hands-on during what? We're not done out. What, the Patrick Dorgu transfer? I don't think he had anything to do with that. Do me a favour. And even that's it's not even been completed yet. The unpopular Glazer family took ownership of United in 2005. We know all that. Basically, bit of background, where they've been going to cup finals, all that jazz. But he's still involved. Ratcliffe's approval ratings have plummeted among Manchester United matchgoers amid the team's dire Premier League form, and the steep mid-season ticket price hiked to 66 quid. During the 1-0 win at Fulham last week, United fans chanted, just like the Glazers, Jim Ratcliffe's see you next Tuesday, although they didn't say that. They said the actual word, which I'm not going to repeat. With the Ineos chairman in attendance, a handful of United supporters confronted Ratcliffe in his car outside Craven Cottage, over the rising ticket prices with the team still marooned in the bottom half of the league table. We're sat on our dinghy, absolutely marooned. Look, we all hate the Glazers, don't we? Let's be honest. I don't think there's anyone out here who, United fan, a genuine, honest United fan who isn't just trying to get a reaction, who likes the Glazers or thinks they've been good for Manchester United. They've been absolutely terrible owners. They plunged them into all this debt. The club's been run shambolically. The stadium's been allowed to sort of deteriorate. Even the training ground was, it went from sort of state of the art to vintage on their watch. They didn't do out with it, did they, for about 24 years. I think it's only since Ratcliffe come in, he invested, I think, 200 million into the training ground, around that figure anyway. Now, look, Jim Ratcliffe's made a lot of decisions I don't agree with. Some of the wage cuts, the staff cuts, the bonus cuts, stopping the staff getting free travel to Wembley. It feels a little bit unnecessary how much he's saving some of these decisions. But I get the idea you need to change things because of what the Glazers done. I understand that. However, I think there are some decisions that don't feel like they're going to generate enough money to make them worthwhile for Manchester United, and they're going to be very, very unpopular. Hence the reason Sir Jim Ratcliffe been getting pelters at the Manchester United game. And I think that was a bit of a shock for him. He thought they wanted a photo of him, didn't he, those fans that were giving him criticism, but they didn't. They wanted to tell him what they thought of him, which, he's not a popular guy at the minute, Sir Jim Ratcliffe. But I keep saying this, I'll say it again. If United get back to the top, if we get a new stadium that looks like it could be on the horizon, if we're competing, if we've got a squad that's worth the name of Manchester United, then maybe people will start to look at Jim Ratcliffe as being a positive. But at the minute, it's only early doors, so we'll have to wait and see. It's not been great moves on the whole, but we are obviously very early into his tenureship. In terms of the Glazers, though, that ship has sailed. My opinion of them is set in stone. I think they've been absolutely terrible for Manchester United. Dora Hadidro says if Sir Jim had full control, he will change Man United in a year. He has loads of money. Adam Kenny says the only thing Joel should be involved with is consulting on Nosferatu, bleeding us dry, the parasite. David Harrington says Glazers own the club and therefore have control of the finances. Ineos have control of on-the-field matters. It comes out ages ago that Joel is in meetings. He feels like this is a bit of a regurgitated story. To be honest with you, it's nothing new. Let's talk about Mathys Tel. Florian Plettenberg, friend of the channel, he's been on a few times. He knows his stuff when it comes to German football. Exclusive, you understand that United have contacted Bayern regarding Tel. United are interested in a loan deal and hope to buy some time regarding Tel since departures are needed. Now, he's been linked, with Spurs, I think, as well, and I think it says there. You can see United definitely in the race, as exclusively revealed on Tuesday. Man United and Bayern feeling that Tel is currently leaning towards a loan move, which is why he hasn't committed to Tottenham yet. Spurs pushing for a decision as Tel is their desired target. And then there's a little quote here. It says, whether it be a loan or sale, we will discuss it in the coming days and hours. That's Max Earlbull from Bayern. Look, me and Joe were talking about this on Transfers Live. Exciting young player. Is he going to come into Manchester United now and do what we need to do? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. You do get that feeling that Manchester United do need to bring in an attacker, don't we? We need a striker, really. We do. It's like, you look at what is going on at the minute. Rasmus Højlund last night, and we did a video on Rasmus Højlund where Joe did a really good video sort of doing a little bit of a deep dive into what's going on with Højlund, why he's not been scoring, how much of it is how much of it is he to blame, how much is it the way it was set up, his teammates, all the rest of it. Go and check that out. The fact of the matter is, though, we look pretty threadbare, don't we, up front. Højlund, even last night, that was the one real negative I could take from last night. I thought it wasn't an amazing performance by the team, but I thought the second half was much better than the first half. But Højlund, again, looks a little bit lost. I think he's in a bit of a rut at the minute, Rasmus Højlund, and I'm hoping it's just a little dip in form. He'll get his mojo back, and we can see the player we saw at stages last season where, he had that purple patch in the Champions League, and then again in the Premier League where I think it was 7 goals in 6 games at one point. We need to see that Rasmus Højlund, because at the minute, he just looks like a player who's struggling. He's struggling when he is getting chances, and he ain't getting many of them, and he's struggling positionally, and he seems to be too far away from the goal for my liking. Look, we want him to do well. We want Manchester United to do well, and whether that's bringing in someone or getting the best out of Rasmus Højlund remains to be seen. Also, just a quick one on Tyrell Malacia. We were talking about this last night. Tyrell Malacia, He obviously got, was it 45 minutes last night? He doesn't feel like Ruben Amorim quite thinks he's the answer. Benfica in for him, negotiating with United to sign Red Devil in deadline deal. Manchester United defender Tyrone Malacia is Benfica's target for their left side, and the Lisbon club are currently negotiating with the Premier League side. That's according to Record, who say that the Eagles have made Malacia their primary target and want to sign him on loan until the end of the season. It does feel like this could happen. I just don't know where this leaves us though, because I know Malacia's not exactly tearing up trees at the minute, and I thought he's had so many issues with injuries and stuff. We did another video looking at what has gone on for Tyrone Malacia over those 18 months. It's just been a horrendous sort of spell for the kid. You know, I think he lost, I keep forgetting which one it was, forgive me, sort of a family member he was really close to, and then obviously the injury issues, the operation that just didn't work, so I do feel for him. And he's not a first-team player by any stretch of the imagination, but he is someone that now and again you can turn to on that left-hand side. Is it a good idea to let him go? Or is it be okay because we're bringing in Dorgu? I don't know. Let me know what you think. David Harrington says, do you remember Rooney used to play himself into form? Excuse me. It seems, though, the opposite for Rasmus. He's doing a lot of nothing at the minute, and it's a shame. He started to look good last season. Jesus Wept says, Jay, don't go breaking my heart with this news. I couldn't if I tried. Garnacho's not going anywhere. He also says, Dan94 says, Jay, just wanted to say thanks for all that work you and the lads do here. Top tier stuff, helping us all cope with crippling depression of following United at the minute. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, some people will say, okay, if Malacia goes to Benfica, does that mean Alvaro Fernandez can come back to United? He's already made it clear he wants to stay at Benfica. He doesn't want to come back to Manchester United. He's doing really well at Benfica, and I get it. I think there's always been this sort of narrative, and this sort of desire to see Alvaro back at Manchester United. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to be back later on with The Brew. So make sure, if you've not done so already, you are hitting like, share and subscribe. You can go and check out all the reaction as well from last night's game against FCSB Manchester United through to the last, is it 16 of the Europa League? So positive vibes Friday morning. It's all good stuff. Don't forget to hit like, share and subscribe. I'm Jay Motti. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.